Content warning. The following video contains material that may be harmful or traumatizing to some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Just when you thought you could turn your back and walk away, the dark cloud of human indignity follows you. You have no choice but to turn and look it in the eye. It's the Sex Offender Hitlist.
Broken clock on the back wall, counting down till the last bell rings. You lock the door with the plastic smile, say this is just our little secret thing. Ink stains on my test paper, your hand leaning where it shouldn't be. You twist the rules like a gold ring, say it's love, say it's meant to be. Leave the kids alone.
A judge sentenced a Burnett man to several decades in prison for stalking and child pornography possession charges. 40-year-old Joseph Taylor pleaded guilty to the charges earlier this month. Investigators say he was first arrested for stalking his ex and her fiancée in 2024. Police looked for evidence of the stalking on his cell phone and also uncovered more than 500 images of child pornography. The Burnett County District Attorney's Office tells us that Taylor was sentenced to 5 years in prison for each of the stalking charges and 25 years in prison for the child pornography charge. He will have to register as a sex offender for the rest of his life.
Also new here at 10, an Aloha man is arrested and charged with 10 counts of child sex abuse connected to incidents that allegedly happened more than a decade ago. According to a new indictment filed in Clackamas County Court, 51-year-old Jason Andrew Bowen was arrested on Wednesday by Lake Oswego police. The indictment says Bowen sexually assaulted a child under the age of 14 on multiple occasions between 2007 and 2012. He now faces 10 felony charges, including first-degree sexual assault and sodomy. He's being held on a $500,000 bond at the Clackamas County Jail.
Hey y'all, I'm Sarah Wall in the Fox 10 newsroom. Thanks so much for joining us today as we go in depth. And today we actually have a very serious topic. There is a warning for parents after Mobile police arrested a man they say tried to lure children into his apartment. We're talking about this today in terms of what happened, but also a look at what we can be doing and we can be saying to our children to kind of help keep them safe, right? So a couple of different aspects of this today, and we're going to start with what actually happened and what this latest arrest was in Mobile. So let's get started with that. What happened, Mobile police tell us, is that a man exposed himself and tried to lure children into his apartment. Police say it happened Wednesday at the Dauphin Gate Apartments on Dauphin Street. Officers say they arrested the suspect, 73-year-old Larry Beard, at the scene. He is charged with enticing a child to enter. Investigators say a child victim and a witness reported what Beard had allegedly done, and that adult witness now has a warning for parents after this incident. We talked to him, and here's what he had to say.
Everybody has kids around here. We're going to have to take care of each other's children out here. Please, everybody, watch out for your children. Pay attention to where they at and pay attention to their surroundings.
Some very good advice, and they do tell us that there are a lot of children in this apartment complex. Beard is being held in Mobile County Metro Jail. He has a bond hearing today, so we are going to follow this for you and let you know what happens in court. But again, the witness we talked to is someone who lives in the apartment complex. They say they were walking home when they noticed a group of children gathered near Beard's open door, and the witness says what he saw next was very disturbing. He says he saw the elderly man expose himself and try to lure children into his home. Again, this happened on Wednesday, officials say, at the Dauphin Gate Apartments on Dauphin Street. And at this point, 73-year-old Larry Beard was arrested, charged with enticing a child to enter. He has a bond hearing today. He's expected in court today for a bond hearing. He's also being held in Mobile County Metro Jail. Investigators say a child victim and a witness both reported what Beard had allegedly done. The witness says that some of the children nearby actually captured video of Beard exposing himself to other kids, and he believes that that footage was turned over to police. We also talked to another neighbor who is a mom, and she shared her reaction to what happened, saying she felt sick to her stomach because this was happening in broad daylight, allegedly. Of course, this all according to what witnesses say and what police tell us, but the fact that something like this could allegedly happen in broad daylight and just to stand in your doorway, she says, it was very disturbing.
Some breaking news just coming into our newsroom right now. A former Connecticut school employee pleading guilty to enticing an 11-year-old boy to engage in sexual conduct. Allison Kranick worked at schools and stores and Columbia. Police say she used the internet chat service Discord to send thousands of messages to the victim in 2022. Kranick is facing a minimum of 10 years when she's sentenced coming up in February.
A former middle school teacher in Washington Township is facing charges for having an alleged sexual relationship with a student. The Gloucester County prosecutor says 36-year-old Ashley Fissler had the relationship in 2021. The victim, who is now an adult, reported the details to the police earlier this year. Fissler's LinkedIn bio mentioned that she was a social studies teacher at Orchard Valley Middle School. The prosecutor says she's no longer with the district and is not teaching anywhere else. Fissler is facing 8 charges, including sexual assault of a minor.
Called one of the most prolific child predators in eastern Washington, a former Riverside School District employee has been sentenced to 3 decades in prison. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office, Dallas Schuler pled guilty to 12 felony counts related to the online exploitation of children. They say the charges encompass the exploitation of 37 different minor children. Investigators say Schuler sought them out from the Riverside School District and also bragged about his crimes online to other predators. Schuler was sentenced to 30 years in prison and a lifetime of supervised release.
In Madison County, a man is accused of targeting teens on social media, luring them and then attacking them. As Fox 59's Scarlett O'Hara explains, authorities say a Snapchat meetup quickly turned into alcohol-fueled violence.
A woman told police she overheard commotion one morning and came outside to find a group of girls running from another house to this alley. She'd soon discover, according to court documents, that those girls had just been attacked by a man they connected with over Snapchat. Investigators say that witness stood with the 3 girls, all 17 years old, as they waited for police. The girls explained 21-year-old Matson Hosier added one of them on Snapchat and invited them over, according to the probable cause affidavit for his arrest, which goes on to say he started pouring them shots of alcohol, eventually putting the bottle up to their mouths, making them uncomfortable before getting violent.
It appears to me he was trying to force them into having sex with them.
Madison County prosecutor Rodney Cummings filed formal charges the next day after Hosier was booked. Documents say Hosier touched all the teens inappropriately and at times grabbed them by the hair, squeezed their necks, and even began biting.
This goes beyond bad decision. I mean, he was forcefully choking one of the young ladies. He was grabbing their clothes, forcing their heads down. And
without a criminal record, Cummings explains that if convicted, it's unlikely Hosier will do any serious time. But the case serves as a reminder for parents to know who their kids are talking to online and where they're going. In a statement, the Pendleton Police Assistant Chief said, in part, with the widespread use of social media platforms like Snapchat, minors can be exposed to risks like online predators, inappropriate content, and more. And police encourage families to have open conversations and monitor online activity.
To act like this towards these young girls is not acceptable, not going to be tolerated. He's going to pay a price for it.
Online court records show Hosier bonded out of jail and is due back in court next month, facing various charges, including sexual battery and strangulation. In Pendleton, Scarlett O'Hara, Fox 59 News.
A years-long investigation resulted in stunning human trafficking charges in Cooper County today. Good evening, everyone. I'm Taylor Freeman. Thank you for joining us here. The Cooper County Sheriff's Office searched the Mercy and Truth Amish and Mennonite retreat on Hidden Valley Court earlier this month. That's south of Boonville near the Clark's Fork community. And today, prosecutors charged 42-year-old Sam Shetler, saying he used his position within the Amish community to control, manipulate, coerce, and force vulnerable people for his own profit. Shetler is charged with first-degree sodomy and trafficking for the purposes of slavery, involuntary servitude, or forced labor. KMU8 reporter Sam Jackson is back from Cooper County with the details. Sam.
Thank you, Taylor. The probable cause statement released by the Sheriff's Department today says Sam Shetler owned and operated the Mercy and Truth Retreat since 2022. It says the department received numerous phone calls regarding what the statement calls, quote, cult-like suspicion, abuse, sexual, and negligent behavior towards residents at the retreat. Investigators say teenage residents were physically abused, locked in a safe room for weeks, and forced to sleep in a cold attic during the winter. The statement says some were even loaned out to work for neighbors. The probable cause statement also says Shetler forced them to take as many as 100 pills a day, including sleeping pills and homemade vitamins and minerals. It says young men were forced to work for free in the fields and in Shetler's businesses. Investigators say witnesses told them Shetler would manipulate and mentally torture teenage girls into believing they were, quote, demon-possessed and that only he could control their demons. I talked to people in the neighborhood who were familiar with Sam Shetler but had no idea about the arrest. Shetler entered a not guilty plea in an arraignment hearing today. He is in the Cooper County Jail on a $100,000 bond. In the studio, Sam Jackson, KMU8 News.
Police in Abbotsford are warning the public about a convicted sex offender who is set to be released into the community next week. 46-year-old Stephen Bradley Ewing will move to the city after being discharged from William Head Institution near Victoria on Monday. Police say he has convictions for various sexual assaults, one of which involves a victim under 16. Ewing will have several conditions and is prohibited from visiting places children would gather. He's also barred from accessing the internet and must not consume drugs or alcohol.
Now, deputies need your help to find a fugitive convicted of sexually assaulting a 15-year-old with disabilities in Centennial. The 18th District DA says Jose del Carmen Garcia Martinez, as seen here, was released on bond and stopped appearing in court on the second day of trial. Despite his absence, the jury found him guilty of 3 felony charges related to the assault. Now the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office needs your help in finding him. If you've seen this man or have any information regarding his whereabouts, please call the number on your screen.
A Laredo woman is accused of sexually assaulting a teenage boy in Colonia Los Obispos. Police say they responded to a home around 8 o'clock Monday night after a father reported his son cried out about being abused. Officers identified 60-year-old Alicia Monsivais Guevara as the suspect. The teen told police she also sent him explicit text messages. Investigators say they found enough probable cause to get an arrest warrant for sexual assault. This is a second-degree felony, and they notified Child Protective Services about the case.
A lacrosse man is being charged with child sex crimes after reportedly talking to 2 undercover agents, pretending to be a 12-year-old girl and a dad sexually assaulting his 10-year-old foster daughter. 51-year-old Troy Goodnow is being charged with attempted child sexual exploitation and attempting a child to view sexual activity. According to the criminal complaint, Goodnow began chatting with the undercover investigator, pretending to be a father, sending explicit messages, photos, and videos. Goodnow set up a time to video call the pretend father to watch the sexual assault of a 10-year-old. He also sent explicit photos to an undercover agent pretending to be a 12-year-old girl. Goodnow is in custody on a $20,000 cash bond.
The Marshall County Sheriff's Office said it has arrested a man on multiple sex abuse material charges. According to the Sheriff's Office, Joseph Kelly was arrested on Friday after deputies received information from the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. They said as they investigated, Kelly was identified as a suspect. An electronic device of his was seized and examined. Kelly was then booked into the Marshall County Jail. He's being held on a $250,000 bond.
Meanwhile, a Greenville man has been sentenced to nearly 20 years in prison for sexually abusing a child for years. In 2021, a victim told their guidance counselor that Jake Jones sexually abused her for several years. Deputies say DNA evidence connected Jones to that crime. He pleaded guilty to criminal sexual conduct with a minor and was sentenced to 19 years in prison.
New at noon, a Greene County man is facing charges accused of receiving explicit images of a minor. Investigators say 19-year-old Braden Turner received those images from a minor back in October over Snapchat. He's now charged with sexual exploitation of a minor. He was booked into the county jail on Thursday.
Horrific case of child pornography production in Memphis is now worse than investigators first believed. Good evening. I'm Conji Anthony.
And I'm Joe Burge. Prosecutors announced today they believe more men were involved and more young children victimized. WMC Action News 5's Janice Broach is live with this story new at 10. And Janice, some of these details are tough to hear.
Yes, they are, Joe. Investigators believe there were multiple incidents involving very young children, including a 9-month-old. Now, investigators say the incidents happened between July and 2016 and October 2017. And I want to warn you, the allegations against these men are very disturbing.
That is crazy. I just moved out here from Louisiana, and just to know stuff like that is still going on.
We first brought you the beginnings of this investigation in 2018 when Isaiah Hayes and Darius Ice were indicted after cell phone video showed them involved with a sexual assault on a 9-month-old. Investigators say the mother found the video on an acquaintance's cell phone. The sexual assault happened in 2016. And now, in a superseding indictment, which takes takes the place of the initial indictment. 4 men are charged with felony sexual assault and exploitation charges involving 3 children, the 9-month-old, a 3-year-old boy, and a 4-year-old girl. Investigators allege in 2017 Antonio Wilson kidnapped the 4-year-old from her Southwest Memphis yard with at least one other person and took her to a nearby home where she was forced to perform a sexual act that was recorded. In 2017, investigators allege Antonio King performed a sexual act on a 3-year-old boy, and it was recorded. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children say there are millions of pornographic images of children on the internet.
I just pray for that family. You know, that's all I can really do right now, just pray.
Now, Isaiah Hayes is out on a $10,000 bond. He was 17 when the crimes he's accused of were committed. Now, investigators say they have quite a bit of evidence against the 4 men, including DNA, social media postings, as well as text messages. Live, Janice Broach, WMC Action News 5.
And 34-year-old Tyler Scott Bowman was sentenced to life in prison after being convicted of lewdness and sexual assault with a child under 16 in January in Humboldt County. He'll be eligible for parole after 36 years.
Also new this morning, a man under arrest accused of seriously injuring a 7-month-old child. We're just getting this in from Hillsborough County deputies telling us that this man, 38-year-old Robert Weatherholt, has been charged with aggravated child abuse. This is an investigation that began back on January 18th after the infant was rushed for medical care with severe injuries, including a brain bleed and a spinal injury. We're talking about a 7-month-old. Detectives tell us that those injuries did not match Weatherholt's explanation of what exactly happened while the child was in his care. There was a months-long investigation. As we mentioned, this started back on January 18th. This investigation did. Weatherholt was finally arrested on March 27th, and we're just now getting the details of it this morning from the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office.
And covering Etowah County, a man is facing several sex crime charges involving children, including rape and sodomy. Gadsden police say the investigation began because of a report of suspected abuse. This led to several agencies working together. According to police, the investigation revealed multiple victims were hurt by Andres Matias, and some of them.
A former Saginaw man accused of having a sexual relationship with a 16-year-old girl pleaded guilty to charges today. According to court records, Carl Boder was charged with 7 felonies and 2 high court misdemeanors, including criminal sexual conduct with a student. He is being held without bond. He's scheduled to be sentenced on May 7th.
We are following breaking news tonight. A Madison priest previously charged with attempted second-degree sexual assault of a child and attempted child enticement is now also facing 2 counts of possession of child pornography. The Diocese of Madison says the new charges are based on digital evidence found on Andrew Shower's electronic devices that were taken last August after his arrest. Now, Showers was arrested after he agreed to meet up with a minor who was actually a Clintonville Police Department sergeant who was posing as a 14-year-old girl. Showers had allegedly sent an explicit photo to her and talked about sexual acts. Showers pleaded not guilty in the original charges back in September and had previously posted bond, which was set at $10,000. Showers is expected back in court April 14th. Now, in a statement, Bishop of Madison Donald Hine said in part, quote, "The safety, dignity, and well-being of children and young people must always be protected. The abuse or exploitation of minors must never be tolerated, especially within the church," end quote.
Breaking from the First Alert Desk, where we've just learned a retired Air Force major is facing multiple counts of child pornography and sex abuse charges following an arrest out of Leeds. Daniel Martin Brown was arrested by police. Right now he's facing 1 count of sexual abuse of a child who was less than 12 years old. He's also charged with 10 counts of producing porn with a minor and 10 counts of possessing child pornography with intent to distribute. Leeds Police Chief Paul Irwin saying detectives recovered those video and images and tells us, quote, "He's a sick individual, and I'm glad he's in jail. Now we need to make sure that he's punished," end quote. Chief Irwin is also telling us they may pursue charges with the U.S. Attorney's Office for federal offenses. From the First Alert Desk, I'm Taylor Pollack.
A Centennial man on trial for sexual assault has fled just before the guilty verdict came down. This week, 62-year-old Jose del Carmen Garcia Martinez was found guilty of assaulting a 15-year-old girl with disabilities. He initially appeared for his trial earlier this week, but fled before the jury's guilty verdict. He is now a wanted fugitive.
Officers in Stillwater arrest a 24-year-old man on multiple charges of crimes against children. According to police, Stillwater Schools notified a resource officer about a possible child sexual assault case after it was reported to school officials. It was on Tuesday. Hours later, that man, Robert Franklin Holbert, was arrested. He's facing charges of first-degree rape, lewd or indecent proposals, rape by instrumentation, and child sexual abuse.
New at 11, a man in New Hanover County was arrested for sex crimes involving children dating all the way back to 2015. From 2015 to 2016, court records say Aaron Breeden had 3 different victims. According to the records, 2 of the victims were 10 years old and 1 was 5 years old. Breeden is now charged with 5 counts of indecent liberties with a child and 1 count of sexual offense with a child. A mugshot has not been made available yet, but we do know he is being held at the New Hanover County Detention Center with no bond. He is expected to be in court on Monday.
Chaos near the checkout of a local grocery store. A woman pushing a dog in a stroller is accused of attacking a store employee, and then she was caught on camera turning on other customers. And that's not all. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Ken Rice.
And I'm Christine Sorensen. KDKA investigator Megan Schiller joins us with more on what happened and how other customers tried to help.
The store manager at this White Oak Giant Eagle tried to fight the good fight and get the irate woman under control, but unfortunately police had to get involved.
Lady, you better knock it off!
An irate woman caused quite the scene at Giant Eagle, and police say she injured the store manager trying to calm her down.
They better get on their way. Oh my God!
53-year-old Tammy Knut of North Huntington's caught on cell phone video screaming, throwing things. One customer then jumped into action. But then she spotted stripping naked and attacking a customer in a nearby checkout line.
Get off!
White Oak police say Knut scratched that customer's face and bit her hand, leaving a puncture wound.
Oh my gosh! I can't believe this would happen.
Police say parents in the store at the time covered their children's eyes. Police arrested Knut, and she's facing charges related to public nudity and allegedly assaulting multiple people.
When people are like that, they just have such strong, feelings about what they're doing.
All the while, Knut was pushing a dog in a stroller. I talked with Sable Kennels out of McKeesport. They say they have the dog. It's a little Westie. It's in good health, and they are hoping that a family member of Knut does show up in order to take custody of the dog. They say they can't give it to anyone other than one of her family members. Reporting tonight in White Oak, I'm Megan Schiller, KDK News.
Thank you, Chris. A 36-year-old Midland man has been sentenced to prison for sex crimes with a child under 13. The Midland County prosecuting attorney says Alonzo Simmons will serve at least 25 years in prison before he is eligible for parole, but he could be locked up for up to 50 years. The sentence follows a jury trial in January where Simmons was found guilty of 6 criminal sexual conduct charges stemming from the repeated sexual abuse of a child over the course of many years.
And 34-year-old Tyler Scott Bowman was sentenced to life in prison after being convicted of lewdness and sexual assault with a child under 16 in January in Humboldt County. He'll be eligible for parole after 36 years.
The Craven County Sheriff's Office says 7 people were arrested and 1 is wanted for sex offender violations. Several of the suspects have been charged with failing to report a new address as a sex offender, and several others have been charged with failing to register as a sex offender. Those names and charges can be found on our website, WITN.com. Demetrian Moore is still wanted by authorities. Officials ask that if you know where Moore is, you call the Craven County Sheriff's Office or Craven County Communications. Those numbers can be found on our website as well.
A gymnastics coach accused of sexually abusing students will stay in custody until he can pay bail. 56-year-old Eric Stinson was back in court today facing 5 charges, including first-degree sex abuse and sodomy. Court documents list 2 victims under the age of 14 and allege the incidents happened from 2012 to 2016. Stinson is listed as the director of gymnastics at the Northwest Gymnastics Training Center in Gresham. His bail is set at $200,000.
Man is now facing over 500 counts of possession of child sex abuse material. Good morning to you. I'm LaShonda McEwen. Brent Scherf Jr. was rearrested by the Attorney General's office. He faced 538 counts of abuse material and 2 counts of sexual abuse of an animal. He was previously arrested for 2 counts of possession of child sexual abuse material.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. Yep, it's Timu Chuck Norris. Oh, yeah.
Officials are asking for help in identifying potential victims of a Sangamon County church official. Back in January, Michael Moore of Springfield was arrested and charged with possession of child pornography. He was the president of the Central Illinois District of Missouri Synod. The FBI believes that there are victims of his in the Central Illinois region who may want to come forward but don't know how. If you were victimized or have other information about the investigation, we have a link to the FBI's form over on WCIA.com.
New today, a Redmond man was indicted. He was formally charged with 20 felony counts related to sharing child sex abuse material. The Deschutes County Sheriff's Office raided Geslin Hernandez's home after getting tips related to 2 X accounts and a Snapchat account. Hernandez previously worked at the High Desert Education Service District, but was never directly with children. There's no indication any kids in Central Oregon were victimized.
Meanwhile, in Clinton, the police say a woman has been arrested in a child sexual abuse investigation. On March 25th, officers were called to an assault reported at a residence near Bridgman Park Drive around 1:30 a.m. Police say they found Micaiah Davenport sexually assaulted a victim who was between the ages of 11 and 14. Davenport is charged with criminal sexual conduct with a minor. She was booked into the Lawrence County Detention Center, where she's being held on a $10,000 bond.
A province-wide crackdown on child exploitation has led to 33 arrests, including 2 men from Barrie. OPP sharing results from a 5-day operation dubbed Project Series. 136 criminal charges laid between February 9th and 13th across Ontario. The accused, all men aged 16 to 67, are facing a range of charges. For a 37-year-old Barrie man, that includes luring a child under 16 and making child sex abuse material. Another Barrie man, aged 44, is facing 2 charges of agreeing to or arranging a sexual offense against a child.
And I had actually even asked her if she had happened to see something that was just laying on the desk that may have been open. She said, "No, Mom, no, like you don't understand." She was like, "He showed me in his hand pictures." And she was hysterical. She was terrified.
That is the mother of a 17-year-old Montgomery County girl who says her physics teacher showed her nude photos of himself on his phone in the classroom. Thanks for joining us on this Thursday, everybody. I'm Rory Johnston.
And I'm Carrie Sharp. Coming up tonight, the school district is calling this an accident, but Mackenzie Ellithorpe says it was anything but.
And tonight, for the first time, she is telling her story.
Her family reached out to our Patsy Montesinos because they wanted answers and because Mackenzie had something to say to other young people who have ever felt alone in a moment like this.
That was me right there.
Mackenzie Ellithorpe isn't your typical senior at Montgomery Central High School. She's a cheerleader turned wrestler.
Not seeing your purpose does not mean that you do not have a purpose.
Who spends her time preaching about finding God's plan for your life.
She's an amazing girl. She is very amazing. And for this to happen to her, it shouldn't have.
But Mackenzie's parents say on March 9th, something happened while she was talking to her science teacher.
He showed me a picture, and it was like a project that he was working on. And then he swiped over, and it was full nude photo.
The 17-year-old ran to call her mom, confused and in shock.
I just called her and told her everything. And I didn't really know what to think because I was like, Mom, like, I don't understand what I did or why he's doing that.
So you were blaming yourself at the beginning?
Yeah, just because, like, I looked up to him because he was my teacher. And so I'm like, why me?
The family called the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office.
for her to see somebody that she sees every day, that is her teacher, and to purposely show her, holding something out and showing her, that's disgusting, and it scared her.
It's traumatizing.
And she had never seen anything like that before.
In a statement, the school district says law enforcement is investigating teacher Matthew Vetter, who they say accidentally and briefly displayed an inappropriate photo. When that happened, did it seem to you like it was an accident?
No, because, I feel like if it was an accident, he could have jerked his phone away. He could have said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, you were not supposed to see that, but that's not what happened, so.
He just kept sliding?
Pretty much, yeah.
In total, how many, pictures do you think you saw?
It was somewhere between 6 to 8.
The district says Vetter, who is the husband of Clarksville-Montgomery County School Superintendent Dr. Jean Luna Vetter, was reassigned off campus. The superintendent has recused herself from the investigation. The district says Vetter didn't have any past complaints in his file and has been a tenured teacher since 2020.
A place where you send your child to be educated and protected, and then them to be violated.
But Ashley and Adam Ellithorpe say they have been left in the dark.
We've heard nothing from anyone, and that's the scary thing. They've taken no accountability for their actions. None.
Now, Mackenzie says she no longer feels safe at school, but she's speaking up for others.
The reason I wanted to share my story and everything was because I don't want anybody else to feel like they're alone in what's going on. If it's mental health, if it's anything like that, I just want you to know, you have people to support you, and you have a community that will help you.
Finding her own purpose, the message she's always shared.
God never stopped working on my purpose.
In Montgomery County, I'm Patsy Montesinos, News Channel 5.
Patsy, thank you. No charges have been filed. The school board says the sheriff's office, the DCS, and district attorney investigating. The sheriff's office confirms the March 9th incident. They're still investigating. It's going to be reviewed by the DA once complete. School board says it won't begin its own internal investigation until law enforcement finishes theirs. So for Mackenzie and her family tonight, the wait continues, but Patsy will be sure to stay on this story.
But let's begin with the conviction, nearly 5 years in the making. After a week of deliberations, today, a jury handed down nearly 50 guilty verdicts in the case of Shannon O'Connor. The 51-year-old mother is accused of holding alcohol-fueled parties for her teenage son in her Los Gatos home. She was convicted today of 48 counts, including 2 felony sex charges. The district attorney says O'Connor bought alcohol, provided condoms, and encouraged sex acts between minors during these parties. Most of the kids involved were 14 and 15 years old. This all happened during the pandemic, and O'Connor was arrested in 2021. In many cases, prosecutors say she both encouraged and watched teens perform sex acts, while some involved were too drunk to consent. During the trial, 41 witnesses testified, 15 of them victims.
This defendant took advantage of children, manipulated children, hurt children emotionally, mentally, physically, and did that for her own perverse reasons.
It's obviously not the result we were hoping for. They were also not the not guilties that we achieved were not the not guilties that we in particular argued for as our highest priority. So we are obviously disappointed.
O'Connor is set to be sentenced March 26th. She could face decades in prison. I'm here now with our senior investigative reporter, Candace Wynn, who was inside the courtroom as that verdict was read. She has also been the only journalist to talk to O'Connor in jail. So, Candace, no cameras were allowed inside of the courtroom today. Can you describe to us her reaction when she heard the verdict?
Yeah, Audrey, when that court reporter read those guilty verdicts for the aiding and abetting sexual activity charges, Shannon O'Connor mostly had her head down, but in that moment, she lifted up briefly, opened her mouth as almost a small gasp. So a small action, but big emotion in that moment. The word disappointed really doesn't come close to what O'Connor might be feeling right now. And I know that because I've been talking to her from jail for almost 5 years now. And based on our many conversations, she's probably devastated. She has not been sentenced yet, but based on the verdict today, she faces about 30 years in prison, more than 4 already behind bars. Now, during her criminal trial, she spoke exclusively with me over the phone from jail about how she specifically denies these sexual misconduct charges.
It's so unfair. A lot of these stories are just not true. And I've been affected deeply by these stories. I've been beat up multiple times. They call me a pedophile. They think I'm this rapist. They think that I'm this horrible monster.
In the meantime, Candace, we know there were 15 victims who testified. How about the parents? Were they inside of the courtroom today when that verdict was read? What was their reaction?
Yes, some of the parents were there. Some of the parents were listening on Teams. Everyone had a very short amount of time to get to court when the verdict was read. So I spoke to parents both who are on Teams and listening as well who are there. They told me they're very happy that they feel that justice have been served, and now they're refocusing back on their kids who were 14, 15 at the time, and many of them like 19, 20 right now. Now, one parent there did not want to do an on-camera interview with me, but it said this in a quote. She told me regarding Shannon O'Connor that you never know who you're having tea with over dinner. A molester can be a mother, and she's of course referring to Shannon O'Connor.
Candace, you've been talking to O'Connor throughout this entire case, and she's been very open with you. Do you think she'll reach out again? Would you be speaking with her again pretty soon here?
Yeah, possibly, right? Possibly. The one thing she's been telling me is that she feels she has not been able to tell her side of the story, and we have not been able to talk to her on camera without her attorney's permission. She did not take the stand during this trial either. In the last couple hours, I did want to share what her family is saying. For the first time, I'm hearing from her older son. I just spoke with him on the phone recently, and he said this: "I'm devastated. I can't believe she's guilty on so many charges. I know she's guilty on some counts. She's not completely innocent. It's unfair what's happening to her. Murderers and rapists are getting out before her." So again, hearing from Shannon O'Connor's older son, his reaction to this verdict. And remember, he was the one who was at these parties. He is one of the John Does in the case.
All right. Are we going to be seeing you again later on this evening?
Yes, at 7 o'clock. We'll be talking more about this verdict.
All right. We'll see you at 7 o'clock, Candace. Thank you.
Condone County Sheriff's Office says deputies found a sex offender from Texas hiding out in a home in Weeki Wachee. Officials say John Collier was wanted in Texas for violating parole before he moved to our state. He's also facing multiple felony warrants. His original charges were for sexually assaulting a child and failing to register as a sex offender. Collier was taken into custody by the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force.
Breaking news tonight, a registered sex offender who lives with a former New Hanover County School Board candidate has been charged with illegally voting in 2 elections. That's according to a federal criminal complaint filed on Monday. James Osborne faces 2 federal charges: false statements on voter registration and false statements on voter ballot. Osborne lives with Rick Sutherland. Sutherland actually withdrew from the New Hanover County School Board race in early March after it was revealed that he lived with a convicted sex offender. Osborne was arrested on Thursday. He is scheduled to appear in federal court next Tuesday at 9:30 in Wilmington. The case is also being investigated by the FBI.
A groom in Indiana was arrested on his wedding day. Bradley D. Armstrong arrived at the courthouse to say "I do" when 2 police officers swooped in a scene the LaPorte County Sheriff's Office described as like something straight out of the Wedding Crashers film. Law enforcement say the 66-year-old was arrested on the spot for failure of a sex or violent offender to possess identification. Armstrong allegedly never updated his driver's license with his current address, which, as a registered sex offender, he's required by law to do within 30 days of moving, and subsequently used his old address to apply for a marriage license. According to an incident report, Armstrong was given a warning to update his address in November and another in February. So, as a court spokesperson told Oxygen.com, when he showed up for his March wedding, he had a warrant for his arrest and was taken into custody before the ceremony began. He was booked into the county jail, but posted bond and was released the same day, per the incident report. According to the county sex offender registry, Armstrong, who was listed as a sexually violent predator, was convicted of child molestation in 2002 and was released from prison 2 years later. He has not yet been assigned an attorney, a court spokesperson shared. His next court date is set for April 8th.
Gang member is under arrest for aggravated sexual assault of a child. According to the Zapata County Sheriff's Office, investigators say they took Andres Perez Jr. into custody on March 6 after an investigation led to a warrant for his arrest. Perez was arrested and taken to the Zapata County Regional Jail while waiting for the case to go to court. The Sheriff's Office is asking anyone with information about criminal activity to contact their Criminal Investigations Division.
A Laredo woman is facing serious charges tonight after police tracked her down at a nightclub through social media. Officers arrested 24-year-old Elvira Martinez on March 22nd at a club on Iturbide Street after getting a tip that she was posting her location on social media. Martinez had 3 active warrants out of the Webb County Sheriff's Office. She's now charged with 2 counts of aggravated sexual assault of a child and 1 count of child trafficking. Martinez is being held at the Webb County Jail.
Also breaking tonight, a Waco man was sentenced to life in prison for human trafficking. A McLennan County jury convicted William Knox on several charges, including continuous trafficking, sexual assault, and sexual assault of a child. In addition to his life sentence, Knox received 4 20-year sentences, fined $10,000, and required to register as a sex offender for the remainder of his life.
Utah man accused in multiple cases involving children may finally face trial. KSL investigator Courtney Johns has followed this case for years. Joins us now to break down the latest information here. What do you know, Courtney?
Well, case after case has been filed and then dismissed, not because allegations have disappeared, but because courts have ruled Jonathan Soberanis was not competent to stand trial. But this time it's different, and it could open the door to more cases being prosecuted.
We got him. I feel validated. I feel like, I don't even know. Booyah.
That's Stephanie Davis's reaction that Jonathan Soberanis is now competent to stand trial in a federal child pornography case. He was previously charged with voyeurism for looking inside her home, scaring her young son. She hopes this could lead them to reopening past cases.
I just want him to be held accountable for his past victims.
Over 10 years, Soberanis has faced numerous allegations involving children, ranging from lewdness to aggravated sexual abuse of a child. This is police body camera from 2018. Officers tell him he's accused of looking under a boy's dressing stall at West Valley Recreation Center.
I need a lawyer!
That footage is 7 years old, the same age Stephanie says her son was when he was victimized.
I don't even know how we can have room for anyone like that in our society.
In all of these cases, charges were dismissed after judges found Soberanis not competent to stand trial. State evaluators cited possible conditions, including developmental and mood disorders. But Soberanis was evaluated again in a federal case in 2025. Prosecutors say he used an encrypted platform to download and distribute child sex abuse material.
It just showed me that he was way more competent than they wanted to tell me.
The federal judge ruled Soberanis was not competent. But after restorative treatment, a recent filing states Soberanis is now considered competent. 4 years since his last arrest, now on his way to trial.
It's the most empowering feeling I've had in a long time.
No trial date is set for the federal case. Now, we did reach out to the Utah Attorney General's office about potentially reopening other cases, and they declined to comment. Back to you, Mike.
All right, Courtney Johns live in the newsroom tonight. Courtney, thank you.
Tonight, investigators trying to find out if there might be any more young victims. Thanks for joining us here at 5 o'clock. I'm Myra Arthur. A teacher at a private school in Universal City is facing charges of grooming and child indecency. Universal City Police today detailing the arrest of 50-year-old Stephen Strawn. He is a band director at First Baptist Academy. Our Sarah Acosta joining us here in the studio to talk about what we know about this case, Sarah, and how police began investigating.
Well, Myra, this involves a 13-year-old student. Detectives learned that Strawn had pulled the student out of class multiple times last November for private band lessons. Strawn admitted to investigators of unauthorized private lessons, uniform fittings, and photographing the student. So Child Protective Services visited the school on March 16th in response to a report involving the inappropriate interactions. Today we learned that it was a parent of the victim's friend that reported Strawn to CPS. He is accused of buying a student risque clothing from eBay, taking photos of that student during private band lessons. Now, during Strawn's alleged uniform fittings, police say the suspect made sexual contact with the victim while he was using a measuring tape. Investigators say there may be more victims.
The victim told us that she had heard that there was another student that was also photographed and asked to change into a flag uniform, which during the interview with the suspect, he did admit to that he did do that approximately 2 years ago.
So he has been charged with child indecency. That's a second-degree felony, and child grooming, which is a third-degree felony. A Bexar County judge set his combined bond at $125,000. Jail records indicate that Strawn has since bonded out of custody. Now, this arrest is possible because of a fairly new state law that more concretely defined child grooming and made it a more clear offense. So in September of 2023, the Texas legislature passed a child grooming law in effort to protect minors from sexual abuse and exploitation before it happens. Grooming may be suspected when a relative, teacher, school official, coach, religious minister, or other adult does any of the following: makes physical displays of affection, such as touching, hugging, or kissing, gives a child gifts, money, or privileges, such as providing transportation, or spends a large amount of time with the child isolated from others. Now, monitors or limits a child's communications, exposes a child to adult topics of conversation or media.
Tonight, we're now confirming that these two men were arrested for allegedly having child sexual abuse videos and that they were cadets at the Citadel. Caleb Swabaker was arrested on February 21st and charged with 10 counts of third-degree sexual exploitation of a minor. Investigators say that he uploaded files October 23rd and they got a tip a month later, serving a warrant and arresting him on February 19th. Now, according to the affidavit, Swabaker later confessed to buying and having child sexual abuse material, and he's still in jail on a $750,000 bond. Joseph Aguilera was arrested on March 5th and released the next day on a $200,000 bond. And he faces 2 counts of second-degree sexual exploitation of a minor, and according to investigators, confessed to having and distributing the files. According to the Charleston police affidavit, one file recovered included a video showing graphic abuse involving a child. The Citadel sent a statement saying a general addressed the Corps of Cadets about the allegations facing these two on March 17th and mandated new training. The director of communications says they were told by law enforcement the cadets transmitted encrypted files from personal computers using non-Citadel accounts and added that they are no longer enrolled at the Citadel.
One for Rainbow, one for Amanda.
Who you playing with, sweetie?
Amanda.
Oh, who are you?
I'm Amanda. I'm 6, and I love unicorns.
Sexual predators are seeking kids online.
We don't know Amanda.
Learn how to report abuse at end-violence.org/protect.
Broken clock on the back wall, counting down till the last bell rings. You lock the door with a plastic smile, say this is just our little secret thing. Ink stains on my test paper, your hand leaning where it shouldn't be. You twist the rules like a gold ring, say it's love, say it's meant to be. Leave the kids alone. Leave the kids alone.